Another Dooley Noted podcast comes to you from the Coach's Podcast Room at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill in Celebration Point. Okay, and welcome into another Dooley Noted podcast presented by Titan MRI from the Meldon Law Gator studio here at Steve Spurrier's Gridiron Grill. And Steve Spurrier will be along shortly. We'll talk to him about Florida's the egg that the Gators laid on Saturday, and that's all you can say about it. And we'll talk about it. But and then that'll be great to talk to him. Robbie Andrew will be along in a little bit to do Yes, No, Where, Maybe. And then on Thursday, Scott Rabelais from the Baton Rouge Morning Advocate will join us, and we'll talk to him about the LSU football program, who Florida plays next. Let's get to our process. So that'll be our order for the rest of this week. All right, yeah, I want to make sure I was clear on that. All right, let's get to our Process Service of Gainesville starting 5. Brought to you by Process Service of Gainesville. Scott Hart, great job that he does. Number one, I said this to myself this morning because my wife's out of town. She'll be back tonight. I miss her so much. Wife, daughter both went to BravoCon with my oldest daughter too. So they went there, and I've been by myself. So I have been talking to myself a lot. Let me just clear that up before we get started. But I was talking to myself, and I said, of all the big games that happened this weekend, we'll talk about some of the big losses that happened. The one that's the least surprising is Florida losing to Arkansas. And I said, that says a lot right there. Florida losing to an 0-5 team at home was probably the least surprising result of the weekend. It just didn't surprise me. I mean, I thought Florida was going to take care of business. And obviously the way they came out and started the game was just terrible, and they've got to do a better job of that. But the other problem that Florida has right now is, and I think I'm right about this, again, these guys know their players better than anybody, but this team is worn out. This is a team of guys who are undersized for their position because they're starting as freshmen. Florida started 3 freshmen on defense in that game against a team that has a 240-pound quarterback and a running back who is 220 and runs like he's 280. I mean, really tough. And he was, even though he didn't have that burst, there is no doubt he didn't have that burst in that game. But he ran over people. And the trouble for Florida is they're not big enough. And they'll have to keep getting bigger, get in the weight room, keep getting bigger, get stronger, get faster. But in the last 3 games, it's been exposed. The fact that you can run on Florida. It certainly was exposed in the Kentucky game as well. But especially now, you can really run on Florida, and you can pass on them because their secondary is not very good. Now it's a very young secondary. Jordan Castell has made so many good plays, made a great play for that pick the other day. But then on another play, I think it might have been KJ Jefferson's run, he comes up and tries to ankle tackle him, and he ends up making a big run. He plays like a freshman sometimes. I mean, he's gonna be a great player, and this is the dilemma that Florida has. They are right now in the last 3 games giving up 477.3 yards a game. That's not good. This is why I told people don't get too caught up in how well this defense is playing early. This defense is playing with fire. Guys are fresh. They're ready to go. Okay, played great against Tennessee. Yeah, baby. And then we've seen it deteriorate as the season's gone on. And they're not a very good defense. And they still have a long way to go to get to be a good defense. And they got to get bigger and stronger. And again, when you're throwing all these kids out there, it's going to take a while. And this is part of it. It is what it is, though. But those are the 2 stats that I take from this game more than anything. 477 yards a game in the last 3 games they've given up. And I looked it up because I was curious. You take out the McNeese State game, and Florida has scored 26 points in the third quarter. Now, if I'm Billy Napier, I am bringing all these great minds in black polo shirts that were there on the sidelines, and bring them all in saying, look, you know that scene in Apollo 13 where they lock all those guys in a room and they have to figure out how they're going to come up with a new device that will allow them to breathe up there because the CO2 level's too high. You may not remember. It's one of my favorite movies. It's a remote drop whenever it comes on. Anyway. So they lock everybody into this room and to come up with it, and they came up with it. But that's what I would do. I would lock everybody into a room. No coffee machine, nothing. Doors shut, windows locked, and say, guys, when you come up with an answer to why we can't score to start the second half, you can come out of that room and make them figure it out, why they're so bad at the start of the second half. You've gotten rest. You're not tired anymore. You can run whatever plays you want because now they've pretty much seen your script, so you can kind of go off script and do some things. That's what I would do if I was in charge, if I was the head man. I would say, you guys got to figure this problem out now. Now. Okay? Let's go to work. All right, let's get to number 2 on the process service of Gainesville starting 5. And it is pretty amazing, some of the stats that you come up with, and I talked about this with my wife the other day. Florida has not had 3 straight losing seasons since 47. 45, 46, 47, right after the war. A lot of guys were still out, Those are the last time they had 3 straight losing seasons. And that's not good. That's not good at all. That they're going to have, and it's inevitable that they are. They're not going to beat LSU. I mean, Jane Daniels, I know, is in concussion protocol, but if he doesn't come out of it, Nussmeier is still good enough quarterback to win that game. I have no doubt that LSU will still win that game. Missouri, yeah, I mean, I think Florida has a shot against Missouri, but they got a way better defense. They played Georgia way better than Florida did. I know you can't use comparative scores, but so anyway, they're not going to a bowl probably. So let's just leave it at that. All right, let's get to number 3, and that is the. I'm not going to. I mean, anybody can say this. Anybody can say the kind of obvious elephant in the room, and that is that if you're asking why Florida is where they are, where they're in a position to have 3 straight losing seasons, if you want to know why, well, it has to go back to the hirings. And look, I'm friends with Scott Strickland. I'm friends with Jeremy Foley. But they'll be the first to tell you that they could have done better with their football hires. Now, football hires get magnified way more than any other hires. We know that. But the bottom line is there haven't been that many good hires at Florida in the history of the program. You think about it. Who were great hires at Florida? Ray Graves? Never won the SEC. Did win 9 games one year. That was a good hire. It wasn't a great hire. Doug Dickey, did not go well. Charlie Pell changed everything about Florida, Gator clubs and all that, but he also got caught cheating and banned for life and everything, Galen Hall, they lucked into that. He was already on staff. Steve Spurrier, great hire. Great hire. We all know that. Ron Zook, not a great hire. Just wasn't. Urban Meyer, great hire. And please do not tell me that, Bernie Matson made that hire. That's not true. I will be happy to sit and talk with you about and explain to you why that's not true. But that was a Jeremy Foley hire, and that was a great hire. He did not do well in his next hire, though, which was, of course, Will Muschamp. And then McElwain, when he was put in a desperate position, but he had to get rid of Muschamp, and nobody was out there. And but anyway, the point is they've had some bad hires. Mullen was one of those where Strickland had to look at that and go, I think he's changed. I think he'll be able to do the job here. I think you give him Florida-type players, he's really going to be something. But then when he got here, he was still the same guy, and it didn't work out. And maybe you could say that Strickland should have seen that. That's fine. Napier, I'm still giving Napier time. I mean, Napier's an 11-11 coach, and you are what your record is, okay? And that's what his record is. He's 11-11. That's not good. That's certainly not acceptable around here. But I'm still willing to give him some time. I went off on a lot of tangents there, so I probably should just move on to something else. Okay, number 4 on process service of Gainesville starting 5. But despite what's going on with Florida, despite the disappointment I felt after that kick missed, and you're sitting there and you're like, God, that would have been so nice. Bowl eligible, Cardozo would have been happy because he gets paid if they go to a bowl game. It would have been great, but it didn't happen. But no matter what, I'm staying with it. I'm not leaving college football. There'll be no divorce. There'll be no dismissal. I will stay with college football, and I enjoyed the heck of it Saturday night. Now we are facing this weird situation where you could very easily have FSU, Georgia, Michigan, and Ohio State. Would that be the 4th? Because the 4th team that Florida fans would hate the most would be Miami, but they couldn't make the poll. They couldn't make the finals. Maybe LSU, but I don't think they can make the finals now. They're out. So, yeah, it'd probably be Ohio State. Would be the 4th most hated team. So imagine that. If you've got – those are the teams, and you've got to figure out who to root for if you're a Gator fan. I think you just should lose your cable bill and just – never turn it on again, because that would be bad. But I am excited that we're in November. It's my birthday month, but I love November because we are going to get great games. And I'm going to talk to Coach Spurrier about this, and I know he feels the same way. This is when you really start thinking about your Heisman. You're always thinking about it. It's always there in your mind, but this is when you start watching games. You go, I may have to rethink that, if you're a conscientious voter instead of some of the people who shouldn't be voting, but that's a whole nother story. All right, let us get to number 5 on our process service of Gainesville starting 5. By the way, I did mean to mention this. I can wait. I've got it down here. I'll wait. That's fine. We're good. Starting 5. The 5 on our process service of Gainesville starting 5. Staying up late was beneficiary. Miami loses again, and boy, just watching that game, they aren't beating FSU next week. That's a shame. USC loses again. They fire Alex Grinch, their defensive coordinator, which I don't know what they're going to do defensively any different. You fire him mainly to keep people off your back, I think. They're terrible on defense. It is must-see TV because anytime either team has the ball, there's a good chance they're going to score. And that's what I love. I love 49-48 games. I adore those kind of games. So they lose again. Oklahoma loses again, of course, to Oklahoma State. They tore down the goalposts. They threw them in a lake, and then they found a way to fish them out so they could cut them up and sell them as souvenirs. Engineering students did. See, these are the guys who are going to be running this country one day. And Georgia Tech wins again, which I still can't figure out what's going on up there. LSU loses, of course, to Alabama, and Colorado loses again. It was just a lot of stuff going on that was really interesting, but it's just going to get more and more interesting. It's almost like when you win a big game, we always talk about this. What you're saying is next week's game just got bigger. And that's the way it is now with college football. The closer we get to the end, a lot of teams are kind of fighting through I'm playing a game October 10th, and I don't feel like it. I don't respect this team. And now there's not going to be any of that. You're going to go out there and play your butts off, and it's going to be fun. We're going to have a lot of fun with it. And we'll have a lot of fun with Coach Spurrier when we get him up here next after we take a break here. You are listening to or watching Another Duly Noted podcast. You just heard the Process Service of Gainesville starting 5, and you are watching it from Meldon Law Studio, Gator Studios, and it is presented by Titan MRI. I said all those things backwards just so I could screw them up. There we go. We'll be back with Coach Spurrier right after we take this break here on another Duly Noted podcast.
Process Service of Gainesville offers a rapid turnaround on affidavits of service for Gator lawyers locally and nationwide. Our friend Scott Hart offers immediate responses on status requests and is a member of NAPS and FAPS. And he has been a part of the community for almost 2 decades. Need service? Call Process Service of Gainesville at 407-697-9592 or email shartgators, that's G8TR, at yahoo.com. And make sure you ask about the paralegal legal secretary bonus program.
Thursday, November the 16th, come celebrate the release of our Spurrier's Gridiron Grill Lugo's Risky Rum. This exclusive release features a special spread of our farm-to-table food, rum cocktails, raffles, and a meet and greet with me. Each ticket includes a bottle of Spurrier's Single Barrel Select Risky Rum. And I'll sign the bottle if you'd like. So get your ticket before they sell out at spurriers.com.
Gator fans, football season is here. What's better than seeing the Gators back on the field? Easy. Seeing amazing speakers and fellow Gator fans weekly at the Gainesville Quarterback Club. Held every Tuesday night of a home game at the Best Western Gateway Grand. Enjoy happy hour, great food, valuable insights from yours truly and Andy Staples, plus notable speakers throughout the season. As the oldest Gator booster club in the world, Gainesville Quarterback Club gives you access to elite speakers like coaches, NCAA football insiders, Gator greats, and more. Share your passion for Gator football with hundreds of other members at weekly in-season meetings, home tailgates, and special events throughout the year. Join the Gainesville Quarterback Club today. Email the club at membership@quarterbackclub.org or visit thequarterbackclub.org, or better yet, just give me a call and I'll get you to the right people. Hello there, everybody. I'm Pat Dooley, of course, from another Duly Noted podcast. This is a great Adam Brewer, and he's just opened up a place here, Adam Brewer To Go. What would give you the idea to do this, to have a to-go place like this?
We really like the fast concept, being able to get the barbecue. Now we have this new online ordering. So before it was a call ahead carry out, quick service. We have like a curbside kind of a deal where, everything's ready to go for you. And then we thought, wow, we have a really great dine-in concept, but how can we make this streamlined for the customer and make it easy and accessible for all parts of town?
Adam's Rib Co. To Go. Come on down and enjoy it. Okay, and welcome back to another Duly Noted podcast presented by Titan MRI from the Meldon Law Gator Studios. And Meldon Law also brings you Meldon Mondays with this guy, the head coach, Steve Spurrier, of course, the HBC, the head ambassador. We love having him on this show, and was not the weekend we kind of hoped it would be this weekend, Coach.
No, after, 9 weeks of football, almost everybody's played 9 games. We're sitting there 5-4, but we had, I think we're going to be underdogs next 3. Yep. So we got some work cut out to try to get to bowl eligible, try to win a bowl game if we can get there. I've always said if we can win more than we lose and win a bowl game, you've had a good year. Yep. Not a great one, but a good one. But right now, we are number 1 in Dan Wolken's poll, USA Today newspaper. Yep. He has a misery index poll. And he put the Gators number 1 with Oklahoma second. Oklahoma's had some tough times.
I can't disagree with either one of those.
Yeah, both fan bases have had some tough times here lately.
Well, and that's the thing. I sometimes I sit down and I want to examine why are we here? How do we get to this point? And it was just some hires that didn't work out that turned out to be bad hires, and over the last decade plus, they haven't worked out. Now, I tell you what, I'm giving Billy Napier time. I still am.
Yeah, we're all got to give him time. I'll tell you what, I read where we had like 89,000 there. Yeah. I mean, it was packed and yelling, screaming for the Gators, and
so they're not divorcing them. They're not
we're not.
They're not granting you a divorce, Gators. You're gonna still show up for the games.
Yeah, they'll be there for FSU. Yep. Only got one more at the end of the season, but I don't know how we're going to turn it around quite this year. We do have a bunch of really good players committed
Yep.
for next year. I think we were second or third in the country at one time. Now I don't know how many of those guys may have left.
And there are guys coming in that I mean, that are already there that are playing and making an
Young
impact
guys.
that are really good. You know, so they just got to get better. You know, they got to get bigger and stronger. It was the same old thing that we've seen so many times. A big, strong running back was able to carry guys for a couple of extra yards a lot because they haven't been in the weight room. They haven't been in college weight rooms but one, you know, semester. So it's going to take them a while to build their bodies up.
It is true. We have a lot of freshmen, sophomores playing, and we do have a lot
Started
of young
3
guys.
freshmen,
Yeah, you hate to look for any kind of excuse. Up at South Carolina, they're 3-6, and so they're talking about all the injuries they've had. But I tell you what, that quarterback Spencer Rattler is really good.
Yeah.
He throws beautiful pass. He'll be a good pro player. I really believe
weren't
that.
you up there this
I was up there. We
Yeah.
had a reunion of our 2010, 11, 12, 13. Those 4 teams are considered the best in school history up there. One of them won the Eastern Division.
Right.
And in fact, we won it down here at Florida. And the other 3 all went 11-2 and finished top 10 in the nation. And the only 3 teams have ever done that. So we didn't have a long way to go to be the best ever at South Carolina. But to be the best ever down here, you got to win all your games. Because we've had Urban had 3 teams, only lost 1. We had 2, I guess, that went to the championship game also.
Yeah, it was funny. I remember that championship game in Atlanta, and I was going to go out and meet you guys, meet the girls, Amy and Lisa, out at the place out there where you were staying, and your power went out that night.
That's right.
So before the game, so I said, well, never mind, we won't do it. But all right, so it is November, which means young man's heart turns to thoughts of Heisman trophies, and that's when you really start paying attention. And I mean, there were so many things that happened. I was watching the South Carolina game or Southern Cal game, the other SC, and I said, you know what? Caleb Williams has done nothing wrong in this game. He is still. He can win it a second time. I may think about voting for him, and then right then he fumbled and lost the ball.
Yeah, you can't be on a team that loses 4 games and win the Heisman. I don't know.
Although Tebow did.
Did they lose 4
Yeah,
that
they
year?
lost 4. If you count the bowl game, you lost 4, yeah.
Yeah, I guess he did that year. But sometimes maybe the national champ team didn't have a star player or something like that. May not have happened.
And they won't this year without Bowers. Georgia, there's nobody on Georgia that's going to get any votes, I wouldn't think.
No, they won't have a Heisman guy. But certainly Milroe at Alabama, he may have bounced himself into the Heisman running. Bo Nix, obviously at Oregon, is having a really good year also. But a lot of games still left, a lot of championship games. And I think everybody's waiting for Michigan, Ohio State. That'll be a really good one.
Yeah, now would you consider Marvin Harrison a wide receiver? Would you consider voting for him?
Yeah, I would consider voting for him, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, to me, if it's a guy, if you think he's the best player in the country, that's all that matters.
That's true.
You know, and I even said this when Bowers went out. I was like, well, as much as I like him, they don't miss a beat without him out. So he must not be the best player in the country. But certainly, and it was an interesting weekend, though. So many teams that lost. Not only Notre Dame lost again. Teams that I thought were going to have great years. You mentioned South Carolina, 3-6, and they were in trouble against Jacksonville State, and managed to pull that game out.
Yeah,
LSU
Jack State, a decent team though. By the way,
they are.
They're 7-3. Got a 7-3 record.
Rich Rod's their coach.
Yeah. So they've had a good year.
Colorado loses again. Oklahoma loses again. It's just it's getting to be crazy, but the cream still is at the top, and the best teams are still undefeated. One of them's going to lose. We know that because Ohio State and Michigan play each other, but the rest of them it's going to be crazy.
And maybe we ought to give a shout out to Michigan State. They beat Nebraska.
They did.
And
they had like a 6-game win or a 4-game win streak going too. Nebraska did.
Yeah, Nebraska had won a few in a row. And Northwestern, that's what I was thinking. Both teams lost their coaches for various reasons, and the interim guys have got them winning. So Northwestern and Michigan State, they're hanging in there, winning some ball games. Give those guys credit.
It is amazing that they've been able to do that. And we've also seen what is becoming a new fad now in college football, where you fire the coordinators.
Yeah.
And the guy at USC, Alex Grinch, got fired. He's the latest. Last week it was Dan Enos. And, of course, that paid off for Arkansas.
Yeah, Arkansas had some offense.
Yeah.
I hope it not because our defense was not
Well,
very good.
I think it has a lot to do with it.
It was a little of both, probably. But I tried to say the quarterback run nowadays, you got to stop those guys from running. The Alabama quarterback, Milroe, what did he run for 4 touchdowns against LSU? LSU's defense, not very good. So, but we don't really have a run quarterback type scheme the way these other teams do. But certainly those guys won the game for Alabama, and a lot of those running quarterbacks are the difference in the game.
And it could change next year with Florida with Lagway coming in. You know, he's a big, strong, athletic kid, couldn't really run. Yeah, so we'll see if that's the way it works out. But we'll see what happens the rest of the year. I mean, you know, it's not that often that we're sitting in a situation going to the last 3 games where you got to somehow win as a double-digit underdog. To be bowl eligible. We haven't seen that happen too often around here.
Yeah, Missouri played Georgia tough.
They did.
Where they tied at half, something like that, about 10-10 or something.
Yep.
And then Georgia eased away from them. But they're having an excellent year, only 2 losses, and give those guys credit for having a very good year.
Yeah. Now, so if it ends up being, let's just say the Final Four, Florida State, Georgia, Michigan, and Alabama. Just to say Alabama. Okay. Who do Gator fans root for in that case? I mean, you can't. You're not gonna root for FSU, right? You can't root for Georgia.
I don't know. If,
everybody hates Michigan right now.
Yeah, Michigan is sort of in the doldrums a little bit, but they may bounce out of it. I heard the guys talking about it today. What kind of penalty would they get?
Yeah.
I mean, it seems like they have broken some rules, serious rules. And you would hope it wouldn't penalize the players, but the guys, the coaches, or the analyst guys, they deserve to be punished somehow. But that's up to the NCAA and the Big Ten Conference people.
Yeah, and that's, I mean, getting the signals is stealing signs is as old as day. But I mean, the difference is when you make that much effort, make it a considerable effort, and you do it electronically, which you're not allowed to.
That is
against the rules. It certainly is, but I mean, you guys didn't really have complicated signals when you were coaching.
No, we didn't, and but we changed at the line of scrimmage a lot. We came up, sort of looked at the defense, and made some changes right there. But the rule is you can't go out and scout an opponent, sit up in the stands and video all the plays and all the signal guys and all that. But during the course of a game, if the signal man's down there saying pass deep, I mean, hey, it's a pass deep. That's okay. That's okay doing that. But you can't scout them in advance. That's the rule there.
And this was hitch and go with the horns, because I know that's what Doug called. The tug in the
face mask. Yeah, curl and go. Yeah, curl and go.
Curl and go. So just that simple.
Yeah, he in fact he gave him that. Said I didn't even see it. I'd seen in the 12-yard curl right there, and he looked over and tapped his face mask, and Doug Green ran the curl and go for about 65, 70 yards, and then Fred Taylor ran it down to about the 1-yard line on the draw play and took it in the next play. So that was a nice little 3-play drive.
Let's go ahead and get to our Campus USA play of the weekend. And this was not from the Florida game. We didn't want to expose you to any of that. We took another game, and we're giving it to you. This was an NFL game. This was the damnedest play I think I've ever seen. The bubble screen up. We lose the ball. Picked up. He's going and he's going to go all the way. I kept sitting there going, did that count? Did that really happen? But it really happened, and that was our
smart play
of the week. You know, if there's a guy right there, go ahead and hand him the ball. You know, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, you can lose the ball too in that situation, but hey, take the shot at it. There's nobody else there. So, well, let me ask you this before we let you go about LSU, because obviously you coach a lot of games against them and won all but one of them at Florida, and but that rivalry was wasn't really an intense rivalry, was it, when you were playing? Mainly because they were very good. It
was actually a pretty good rivalry because that was one of our common opponents from the 50s, 60s.
Right.
We played them every year when I was here playing in the 60s. Played Mississippi State every year for some reason. Played those two. Played Auburn and Georgia every year. occasionally we'd go somewhere else, like Mississippi or maybe Vandy. But those were probably our 4 every year opponents. So LSU played them a long time till they split up divisions, and now we still play them all the time,
Still
don't
play
we?
'em every year?
Yeah, we
Yep.
play them as if
Now,
they're
that'll
in our
change.
division.
That'll change now that we go to these other
Yeah,
non-divisions.
they are our common opponent on the western side. That's what it is. Yeah.
But it's but it was a pretty good rivalry, and you guys, one of the greatest games I ever saw a Florida team play was the one you played in. So it would have been 2001 there, and Grossman just was unbelievable. And he was throwing balls where you couldn't see anybody, and all of a sudden somebody comes zipping out.
Right in there.
They were
Yeah, he
perfect
set school
timing.
record passing at LSU, and so that was a nice day. LSU, they got clobbered that day.
Yep.
They came back and won the SEC that year. So you can lose once and have a bad day, but you can still come back and win the conference. They went 6-2 in conference play and beat Tennessee in the championship.
I was at the Tennessee game. They sent me to that game, and it was just kind of a weird dynamic to see that happen. I'd want to go back to a game you played, which I remember listening to as a young boy over on Northeast 12th Terrace, which was when you beat LSU in another game that was delayed by a rain and hurricane. That a lot of people don't remember, but I remember it was really cold that night in Gainesville. But and you guys knocked them off.
Yeah, that was 64.
Yeah.
Long time ago. Hurricane came through the Gulf, actually, mostly, and they said we played right after the season. So we played FSU and then went to Baton Rouge and played them there. Night game, and we played well that night. I think we beat them 24-10, something like that. So it was a end of the year good victory. I think it was 6-4, but they didn't have that many bowls, so we did not go to a bowl that year.
6-4 didn't get you into a bowl in those days.
No.
I mean, nowadays you get your pick. You get
That's right.
good options.
Yeah, 6-6 get you in
Yeah,
nowadays.
that's right. It
Yeah,
does.
that's for sure.
All right, Coach, you got anything else?
I believe that's it. We we got to try to finish strong and see if we can hopefully get to a bowl game. What a bowl game does for you, usually you can practice for 2 or 3 weeks.
Right.
Try to get the young guys ready to play. Hopefully it won't be like last year's bowl game when everybody opted out. But this is such a young team. Maybe
I don't.
we got to win one more game first. So,
Yep, they do.
We got to be ready.
Not gonna be easy.
right.
50-point underdogs this game. They'll probably be about 12 at
10 or
Missouri,
12.
and probably 12 or 15
Even at home.
against Florida State at home. So it is what it is. All right, that's going to do it for Coach Spurrier's appearance. We always love having him on the show. We'll be back with more of another Dooley Noted podcast, and we'll bring in Robbie Andrew to do Yes, Nowhere, maybe brought to you by Big Mills Cheesesteak. All that stuff coming up and more here on another Dooley Noted podcast.
I was driving behind a lady, and very suddenly she moved out of the way. There was a log laying in the road, and when I hit my brakes, I went on top of the log. I had 280 discs. I just haven't been the same since. Jeffrey Meldon fought for me all the way. Him and his team really went there for me. Throughout the whole lawsuit, he made sure that my bills was paid. It was never no whenever I called him and asked him for something.
Call Meldon Law right now.
This Tuesday at Gainesville Quarterback Club, we have our annual Golden Gator Gala. We welcome back former Gator player and now entertainer Jimmy Travis, and we'll honor our 50-plus year members. Then the next week, we welcome Buddy Martin, program editor and publisher of Gator Bait Magazine and The Buddy Martin Show.
Things have certainly got a little out of hand lately when it comes to just buying our everyday necessities. Just look at gas, streaming services, and heck, even chicken wings. Well, there is one necessity that shouldn't cost a ton: taking care of yourself and helping fix all the aches and pains in life, and the fine folks at Titan MRI agree. With costs a fraction of what you'd pay at a hospital, you'll not only save money, you'll be taken care of by staff with over 20 years experience. So when you need an MRI, call Titan first, and you can go where your doctors send their families. Now offering CAT scans.
Great food, great atmosphere, a diverse menu, everything made from scratch, plenty of space, and locally owned. These are all the characteristics of a great restaurant, and you can find each and every one of them right here in Gainesville at Ballyhoo Grill. Ballyhoo Grill prepares all of their food fresh every day, from their salad dressing to their award-winning soups. Bring your family and enjoy dinner under the Tim Trebo Tiki Hut while listening to live music. Or if you're running low on time to eat out, they also deliver deliver through Uber Eats, Bite Squad, and Postmates. A Gainesville staple that's been open for over 30 years. Check out Ballyhoo Grill on Facebook or at ballyhoogrill.com.
Okay, and welcome back to another Dooley Noted podcast presented by Titan MRI from the Meldon Law Gator Studios. It's always a great pleasure to go to our Big Mills Cheesesteaks Zoom line and talk to our friend Robbie Andrew, who joins us on the Big Mills Cheesesteaks Zoom line. Robbie, how you doing?
Good,
today?
Pat. How are you? Good weekend?
Yeah, other than the result of the game. I mean, that kind of puts you in a sour mood, but I stayed with it. I watched football all night till very late at night. They're not going to knock me off my game.
Yeah, but that's the plan now, Pat. If your team sucks, too bad. Still enjoy college football season. That's what I'm doing too.
Yeah, it's like I was thinking, boy, the night's game, the late games all went the way I wanted. I wanted Alabama to beat LSU. I wanted Miami to lose, obviously. And I wanted Washington to beat USC. So I was like, finally, it's starting to turn. Games are starting to turn my way. Yay,
something positive.
Yeah, exactly.
Then yesterday I got that miracle win for the Vikings.
Oh, I know. I'm going to get to that in a minute. But I want to give you a stat that I gave earlier today on the show, Robbie. I know that you've seen it happen, but you'll still be stunned. The last time Florida had 3 losing seasons in a row was 1947 was the third season. From 45 to 47, 3 losing seasons in a row. There was a war that just ended.
Yeah. Isn't that what they call the golden era?
The golden era, yep, that 0-9 team. But
awful.
Yeah, I texted my wife once during the game, and I just typed embarrassing. And that's why I left it at. So.
Yeah.
But thanks for giving me a great lead, though, for the.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, you're welcome. But the thing is, they're going to be 3 in a row. There's going to be 4 next year because of that schedule, I bet.
Yep.
So.
Just kind of like this year. Robbie's lead, by the way, was perfect. He said his wife texted me and said, "This is Robbie's, but feel free to use it if in your lead." And that was Florida wore black to its own funeral. I was like,
the Gators wore black to their own funeral.
Yeah. So I just put the word postseason in there because I don't want to get too morbid. But no doubt about it. All right, Robbie, it's time for you to play. Yes, Nowhere, maybe brought to you by Big Mills Cheesesteaks, street dining done the right way. You go in there and say, hey, I saw Robbie Andrew playing Yes, Nowhere, maybe on the Dooley podcast, and they'll say, here are free fries with your order. Thank you. All right, here we go, Robbie. Number 1 on Yes, Nowhere, maybe. Josh Dobbs gives you hope.
Yes, he does, Pat. I mean, the fact that he did that yesterday when he hadn't practiced a single down with those guys, he'd never thrown any passes to them. He didn't know the offense. He didn't know the names of his teammates yet. So for him to go in and do what he did was just amazing. I couldn't believe it while I was watching it. So, yeah, he gives hope. They've won 5 games in a row now.
Well, and that's the interesting thing with that is it's almost like you should say, hey, by the way, we're going to fly you back to Arizona and just don't even look at a playbook or anything, and then fly you out again a couple of days before the game, and because that works.
Yeah. But the amazing thing to me, Pat, is he got off to that kind of horrendous start, tackled for a safety, then he fumbled, and he didn't let it bother him. He just kept playing ball and made some great runs and some really good throws, and it's just a remarkable story.
All right, Robbie, this is one that I know will not make you feel good, but this is Yes, Nowhere, maybe you are about to witness or be alive for your 10th losing season as a Gator fan.
I'm going to say yes, Pat. There's no question about it. I mean, you look at what's left out there on the schedule, I just don't see any way they're going to win the way they're playing right now. And then you look at the last 3 games, they're giving up, 40 points a game? That total is going to go up in the next 3 games, maybe, I would think. So it's going to be hard to win any of those games.
Yeah, that's another stat I gave earlier today. Last 3 games, they're giving up 477 yards a game. That's not winning football, obviously.
Yeah, and I don't care that Arkansas named a new OC during the off week. That was a team that scored 3 points in its previous game against Mississippi State. So
The first drive is fine. I'm okay with that. Okay, I get it. They were probably giving you something you weren't ready for. Okay, and they started to adjust, but then they just, the first and 20, in overtime was just
incredible.
That's pathetic. Pathetic.
It was like they caved in the second half, Pat. The defense.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Finally, on Yes, Nowhere, Maybe, Robbie, Alabama makes the college football playoff.
I'm going to say maybe, Pat. I was really impressed with the way they played the other night. That they protected better. They let the quarterback use his legs, like people were saying they should have all along. And I thought they've gotten better over the course of the year, and I think that they definitely have a chance to get in now. They're going to win out. It's a matter of whether they beat Georgia in the championship game. If they do that, I think they're in.
Yeah, I don't know how they.
Yeah, I was very impressed with them.
If they beat Georgia, if they win out, and then because again you're going to beat Kentucky and then Auburn. But if you win out and you win that championship game against Georgia, there's no way to keep them out. I mean,
no, they're in. And never doubt Nick Saban, Pat. That's the bottom line in this. They're always in it.
And we were sprinkling ashes on their deathbed. Just
no doubt
they were done. And they're like Dabo Sweeney said, "Oh, people who were kicking dirt on our grave." I'm like, "You're 5-4, okay? We're not kicking dirt on your. You're buried. You're dead.
Yeah, your season's over, buddy.
Yeah, you're playing for the Gator Bowl, okay? That's what you're doing. And Florida can't even say that. So
no.
All right, Robbie, we'll let you go.
Okay,
thanks a lot, man.
Good talking to you.
Okay, and welcome back to another Dooley Noted podcast presented by Titan MRI from the Meldon Law Gator Studios. And I was just thinking about this. Remember what Mike was saying all last week? Win by one, win by one. They were tied. They almost won by one if they had scored one more point. Oh, you mean if they'd made an extra point that they muff? It wasn't even a muff snap. It was a bad snap. Special teams. That's why I couldn't give them a good grade. Not only did and I get it. Trey Smack, a lot of pressure on him. 44-yard kick's not a gimme. And what you do when you feel pressure is you tend to fade it. Just kind of let it drift. And I've done that in golf a million times. So I felt bad for him, but special teams actually made a bunch of plays, and then at the end they said, "We forgot where we play football." At the University of Florida, which doesn't believe in special teams. Anyway. All right, let's get to our Adam Dribko to go Gator of the weekend. And I had a couple options, but I made it. I want to make everybody who works over the UAA and does a wonderful job with what they do. Because when you think about it, and we don't see all this, when you're having 89,000 people at a football game, and you have a volleyball match the next day, and you had baseball going on this weekend. Next week, then you're going to have basketball games going on and football games and all this stuff. And I just wanted to give a shout out to everybody who does such a great job over there, whether it's setting up stuff, cleaning up stuff, keeping us informed in the media, and just doing all the great work they do. We like to make fun of them at times, calling them the firm and everything. But the work they do is essential, and for what we have to do. It's essential for our life, really. And I just want to shout out. And I'm not just talking about sports information. I'm talking about all the people that have to do all the stuff to get those stadiums ready. Really amazing. So there are Gators of the weekend, brought to you by Adam Dribko to go, where we had some Adam Dribko to go this weekend. I did anyway. And it was delish, as always. Let's get to our Leonardo's at Millhopper Quick Picks. Had a great meeting with our winner from 2 times ago. And got a picture taken and everything. And we had a lovely lunch, and his wife was there. We had a blast. It was good. So that was fun. And see who wins this next one when we do it. I am going to give you this, okay? I know the game is not coming up right away. It's not till Friday, and that's good. You have plenty of time to think about it. Plenty of time to get in. Friday, Florida plays Virginia in basketball in Charlotte. 7:00 Friday. That's the game. I'm not giving you any spread or anything. Florida, Virginia, and Charlotte Friday. All you got to do is put or you got to put the. And that'll be it. You'll have won. You'll have entered the contest. And we appreciate all of our people, and especially Leonardo's. I went over there actually to Leonardo's Friday night. Kyle had a bunch of his friends in from college, and we had great conversations, and people were just lovely. And got to meet other people that had graduated at Florida, that were kids of the guys who graduated from Florida. And it was just a blast. Really had a lot of fun over there. Let's get to our Hesser and Kipke 3 things. And, of course, Hesser and Kipke, I had to look. Couldn't look. Where do I look? At one point, I was just looking at a blank wall. Hesser and Kipke is a Gainesville law firm specializing in the areas of workers' compensation and family law. Ken and Jennifer take great pride in their one-to-one focus on each and every client they represent. Ken is board certified in workers' compensation law by the Florida Bar, while Jennifer possesses extensive jury trial experience with a nearly 20-year background as a prosecutor. Don't believe me? Well, check out their 5-star Google reviews. Set an appointment at hklawfl.com, or better yet, give them a call at 352-339-9920. Hesser and Kipke. Man, my sinuses are killing me. I only got 3 or 4 more things to get through here, and then I'm going to let out the biggest sneeze you've ever heard. All right, Hesser and Kipke, 3 things. Number 1. This was the stat of the weekend, though. You got to admit. Iowa, in its game, played in Wrigley Field. Right. So they played in Wrigley Field, and they won 10-7. They had the 7th highest scoring in the history of Wrigley Field. The other 6, of course, were all Cubs games. That is just beautiful, man. Just beautiful. 10-7. I didn't even know who they played. Minnesota, I think. Somebody else from that conference where offense goes to die. All right, so that's number 1 on Hesser and Kipke. 7th highest scoring ever. Northwestern. 10-7. All right, number 2 on Hesser and Kipke's 3 things. Tonight it begins. Monday night, if you're not paying attention, if you're not watching, Florida plays basketball against Loyola of Maryland. And we finally get a full look at what they're like playing a basketball game. And they've had a couple of secret ones. They had an orange and blue game, but should be a good team. Should be a much better team than they were last year. Bigger team and everything like that. But again, balls bounce funny, get hit injuries, anything that could happen. I'm kind of wanting to watch this team for a while. I know I'm going to be at several games covering them. So, but I want to kind of see what they're doing. Also, the women are also playing against North Florida before the game. So tonight you can go get a doubleheader of women and men's basketball. Women may be pretty good too. But again, I'm like everything. In both cases, they're in a loaded conference, and in both cases, the other teams in that conference have recruited well too, and it's going to be tough. So, but we'll see. And hopefully, it'd just be nice to have basketball and women's basketball too. Have a good year. Have where it's fun to watch. Where we're not being constantly disappointed. Hello, football. The roller coaster's making me nauseated. I'm just, hey, you won this game? Oh, I'll lose that game. Yeah, it's just puking all over people. Anyway. All right, and number 3 on Hesser and Kipke 3 things. In baseball, Florida, I haven't been over there to watch any of the games. All I've been reading is what they've been saying and what Sullivan's been sending out. Well, he's really good with the baseball, what some of the other writers sent out. But it sounds real good on baseball so far. Their fall schedule, they had a 14-4 win over Stetson on Sunday in 15 innings. They played 8, and then they shut it down, and they played 7. So that's cool. And they had their orange and blue game that's coming up this weekend. It's a series of games, so it'll be Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So you'll be able to go, I guess, Friday Friday they've got, but Virginia's in Charlotte. Man, it's going to be a busy week. This is what I'm talking about, busy weekends around this campus. And this is why I love living in Gainesville, because I love college sports. And I love all college sports. I love that I can watch them. But you know what I don't love? Losing college sports. When you're a bad college sports team, I don't want to watch you play. Sorry, it's just the way I am. Anyway, let's get to our Swamp games of the weekend coming up. And we'll start with tonight. You do have Chargers at the Jets. If you have fantasy teams involved here, you probably want to watch it. That is, of course, the Monday Night Football game, 8:15 on ABC. And then Thursday night's game, and you really have to have fantasy football players to want to watch this. Carolina at Chicago on Prime Network, so you have to leave it on there. Watching a bad game. That's at 8:15. My advice is just don't watch it. Okay? But it is an NFL game, so it'll probably be on at the Swamp because people are into NFL games because of fantasy and all that stuff as well. We were out there at the Swamp Thursday and had a great time doing the last remote out there for a Florida home game because obviously the FSU game will be Thanksgiving, so we can't. But we had a blast out there. Thanks to Ryan for everything he's done all football season. Really appreciate it. And sponsoring here as well. All right, let's give you an NBA game tonight. Lakers at the Heat. Yeah, you might watch the fourth quarter of that. That's at 7 on the NBA channel. And we'll give you some college football games, or actually some college basketball games. San Antonio at the Knicks, 7:30. These are on ESPN. And Golden State at Denver at 10. These are all Wednesday ESPN games. I'm trying to figure out what I was saying there. And then the Thursday game might be worth watching. Virginia at Louisville and college football, 7:30 on ESPN. Louisville's still got an outside shot at the playoffs. Certainly has a chance to win the division. Might be playing FSU for the division championship. So it's enough reason for you to flip it on and watch. Let's get to our pod picks from the Gainesville Quarterback Club. Their pod picks, and we will pick a few games here. Of course, their gala is coming up on Tuesday, tomorrow. I've got to dress up for it, okay? Tie and, everything. So that's Saturday or Tuesday. I don't know why I keep wanting to say Saturday. That's going to be Tuesday, and Larry Travis is going to be the speaker and entertainer. He plays guitar, tells jokes and stuff. He used to be a kicker at Florida. His name was Jim Getson when he was a kicker at Florida. I remember that kick he missed against Miami. I'll never forget it. And I'm going to remind him of it when I introduce him. Here's this choking dog. No, I would never do that. Apparently, this is going to be a really cool act, so I'm looking forward to seeing it. But he'll be the speaker at the gala tomorrow night. And they still have a couple more meetings. I know Coach Spurrier's one of them, and there's another one, because there have been people interested in joining. There's another one where they honor the best high school players. That's always really cool. So that's great. Well, I did great last week on the pod pick, 6-1-1, so I'm 4 up. I'm making money on vacation. So let's get the 3 that are early this week. Central Michigan getting 3.5 over against Western Michigan. I'm going to take Central Michigan, the fighting Jim McElwain's. Bowling Green giving 7.5 against Kent State. I've watched Kent State. I'm taking Bowling Green, even given the 7.5 points. And Louisville giving those 12 against Southern Miss. That's amazing that Louisville's playing Southern Miss and Virginia. Well done there, Pat. So I guess they're playing Southern Miss that night. So anyway, whatever it is, I'm taking Louisville. Jeez, what an idiot. All right, so that is going to do it for everything except for our Pat Dooley story time brought to you by Eastlake Pediatrics. Got a really nice text from Mike Jordan, who owns Eastlake Pediatrics. Really cool. He was texting about a bunch of stuff. But anyway, let's get to our story time. And this one was one I was almost going to tell on radio last week. We never got around to it, so I figured I'd use it here. I don't think I've used it here before, but with Mark Davis being so much in the news, the Oakland owner, of course, everybody knows his dad, Al Davis, is the only reason he owns the team because he's kind of a slacker. But this isn't about him. This is about Al Davis. And I was exposed to him a lot when I was covering the NFL. In fact, one time we were all sitting around him at a gym, and I guess it was in San Francisco when the Super Bowl was out there, getting all these quotes and interviews with him. It's just great. He was great to talk to. I wasn't a fan. I didn't like his team, but they had a commitment to excellence. But this was the year when they beat the Redskins in the Super Bowl in Tampa. And so I'm sitting in the second row, and I'm sitting right next to David Lamb, and then we have one seat between us, and then there's Al Davis. This is his seat for the game. And he's pretty low-key, pretty quiet, trying to, every once in a while you go, come on, something like that. So I'm like, just kind of half watching him, And then all of a sudden some broadcaster, I don't know where he was from. I thought he was a local guy. I don't think he was a national guy. Has a camera and right up in his face. Now they're up at this point. This is like right before, no, that would have been, it might have been right after. But anyway, there was a bunch of big plays in that game. They were going to win the game. But there was still 3 or 4 minutes to go. And apparently Washington had made a huge comeback against them during that season, I think it was. Anyway, it's a long way of saying nothing. But he starts shooting them. And the guy sticks out and goes, Coach Davis, how does it feel that you're part of the Super Bowl champ? And he just stands up and lets out this tirade. Some words that I've never heard before, just screaming at the guy, telling him about how these guys came back on us, how unprofessional, danger Will Robinson. And I just was sitting there going, just laughing. It was so funny to see this. These are the kind of things you hear about. The only thing would have been better if Bobby Knight had come in and go, "You're right, Al, let's get him." Well, they're both gone now. Anyway, that was our Pat Dooley story time for today. All right, that's going to do us. Zach, great job as always of handling the never knowing times of certain people being in here, but it certainly worked out great today. We'll be back with another show Thursday. As I said, Scott Rabelais is going to join us. We'll talk about LSU and mainly talk about LSU, or maybe we talk about Florida. I don't know. We'll talk about whatever I feel like talking about because right now I'm getting a little depressed. But, I mean, personally, I don't care if Florida goes to a bowl game. It doesn't matter to me. I wouldn't go anyway unless it was like the Gator Bowl. So I wouldn't be going anyway. I don't know. Sometimes I think those practices or extra practices are overvalued, and they only got about 7 last year because they had an early bowl game. I don't know. Maybe just work on stuff for next year because that's what you need to do. That's going to do it for our show. Thank you for joining us on another Duly Noted podcast presented by Titan MRI from the Meldon Law Gator Studios. Until next time, I am Pat Dooley. I am deep, I am way back, and I am out of here.